The day I put down my phone. Emma loved her phone more than anything else. She used it when she woke up, when she ate, and when she went to bed. She watched funny videos all the time. She sent quick messages to her friends, even when she had nothing special to say. She scrolled through pictures and memes for hours. She felt like she was always busy, even though she was mostly staring at a screen. At night, she clutched her phone under the covers. She could not imagine sleeping without it. She felt safe when it was near. If she put it down, she worried she would miss something important. She told herself that she needed it. She thought she might miss a new video or a fun message from a friend. Her parents noticed her behavior. They saw her face lit by the screen at the dinner table. They saw her eyes staring at the phone when they tried to talk. One evening, her mom asked, "So, how was school today?" Emma mumbled a response without even looking up. Uh-huh. Another time, her dad told a joke, and she said, "Haha, wait, what?" She was not really paying attention. She just gave a quick laugh. Her parents felt worried and annoyed. They thought Emma was missing real life. They decided to do something about it. The next morning, they both sat Emma down at the kitchen table. They had serious faces. Emma knew it was not going to be good news. "Emma," her mom said, "your dad and I are concerned. You are on your phone too much." Emma shrugged. "Everyone uses their phones a lot. It's normal." Her dad shook his head. "Last night you walked into the fridge because you were texting. You also said goodnight to your phone instead of to us." Emma rolled her eyes. She did not think it was such a big deal. "Okay, maybe I'm a little attached, but it's not the end of the world." Her dad slid a small box across the table. Her mom tapped on the top of the box. "We have a challenge for you. 1 full day. No phone. No laptop. No TV." Emma almost dropped her fork. She stared at them in shock. "You're joking, right?" Her dad nodded. "We are not joking. Think of it like an experiment. Just 24 hours. That's all." Emma felt panic rise in her chest. What if someone texts me? What if there's a meme I need to see? What if something big happens in the world, and I don't hear about it? Her dad shrugged. "If the world ends, you will hear the neighbors scream. Or you could look out the window." Emma groaned. She dropped her head onto the table. "This is the worst day of my life. And it hasn't even started." Emma's phone went into the box. Her parents placed the box on the kitchen counter. They told her she had to leave it there until the next morning. Emma felt like a piece of her body was missing. She tried to ignore the feeling. "I don't need my phone," she told herself. She took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. But only 15 minutes passed before she felt restless. She lay on her bed and looked at the ceiling. She shifted around and tapped her fingers. She wanted to check her notifications. She wanted to see if anyone had texted her. She could not stop thinking about it. Finally, she sneaked into the kitchen. She saw the box sitting there. It was unlocked. She could open it and grab her phone in seconds. She lifted the lid a tiny bit. She just wanted to see if she had any messages. She would not even reply. She would just take a quick peek. Then she heard someone clear his throat. She turned around and saw her dad in the doorway. He had his arms crossed over his chest. "Nice try," he said with a small grin. "You are lucky we didn't set up lasers and alarms." Emma made a face and stomped back to her room. She felt bored and frustrated. Emma had another idea. She knelt beside her dog, Max. She stroked his fur and whispered in his ear, "Hey, Max! Can you help me?" Max wagged his tail. He did not know what she wanted. Emma pointed toward the kitchen. "Go get my phone. Bring it to me, boy. You can do it. I believe in you." Max barked and trotted off. Emma held her breath. She waited and waited. Soon Max came back. But he had a sock in his mouth, not the phone. Emma sighed. "You are the worst spy ever," she said, patting his head. Max licked her face. He seemed proud of himself anyway. After 1 hour, Emma felt like she was going crazy. She paced around her room. She counted the tiles on her ceiling. She opened the fridge just to look inside. She did not even want any food. She just did not know what else to do. She decided to beg her parents. She found her mom in the living room, reading a book. "Mom!" Emma cried. "I am losing my mind. I can't do this. Just give me my phone for an hour. Please? This is torture." Her mom looked calm. She placed a bookmark in her book. "Emma," she said gently, "maybe you need to go outside. Get some fresh air. That might help." Emma rolled her eyes. "Fresh air?" she repeated. "I'm not sure I even remember how that feels." Her dad overheard from another room. "Some people say fresh air is what humans experienced before smartphones," he joked. Emma groaned again, but she realized she had no better ideas. She pulled on her hoodie, put on her shoes, and stepped out the front door. Outside, the sun felt bright on Emma's face. She noticed the warmth on her skin. She heard birds chirping. She smelled grass and flowers. She looked at the sky, which was a clear blue. She realized she had barely looked up at the sky in a long time. She walked down the street and saw her neighbors. They were watering their plants or sitting on their porches. Emma realized she recognized some of them, but she had never really talked to them. She usually had her eyes on her phone or her headphones in her ears. Suddenly, she spotted Sophie from her class. Sophie was walking her dog. Emma's first instinct was to pretend she was texting. That is what she always did when she wanted to avoid someone. But today, she had no phone. She had nowhere to hide. Sophie saw her and waved. "Hi, Emma," she called. Emma felt her heart race. She could not escape. She had to talk. "Hey," she managed to say. There was a long, awkward pause. Emma searched her mind for something normal to say. "So," she said, your dog is cute." Sophie smiled politely. "Thanks," she replied. Another silence passed. Emma felt so uncomfortable that she gave Sophie a thumbs up and walked away quickly. She could not believe how weird she felt without a phone. Emma continued to the park. She saw a group of kids playing soccer. One of them called out to her, "Hey, do you want to join?" Emma almost said no. Her usual excuse was to check her phone or pretend she was busy. But she had no phone, and she was not busy. So she shrugged and said, "Sure, why not?" At first, she felt clumsy. She had not played soccer in a long time. She almost tripped over her own feet. She accidentally kicked the ball into some bushes. But after a while, she started to enjoy it. She ran around with the other kids. She laughed when she made a silly mistake. She cheered when someone scored. She forgot about her phone for a moment. She was simply having fun. After about an hour, the game ended. A small boy with curly hair ran up to Emma. He held out a bright green leaf. "Here," he said. "Keep this as a memory." Emma smiled and took the leaf. "Thank you," she said. It felt nice to have a small souvenir from a real-life experience. When Emma got home, she smelled something sweet. She walked into the kitchen and found her mom baking cookies. Usually, Emma would grab a cookie and go back to her room to watch videos on her phone. But today, she stood there for a moment. Then she said, "Can I help?" Her mom almost dropped her spoon. "Help?" she repeated. "You want to bake with me?" Emma nodded. Her mom smiled and handed her an apron. Emma measured the flour and sugar. She mixed the batter. She tried not to make a big mess. When the cookies went into the oven, the kitchen was filled with a warm, delicious smell. Later, Emma's dad walked into the kitchen. He saw Emma covered in flour. He laughed and asked if the cookies were still edible. Emma teased him back. "Yes, Dad," she said. "They're edible. Want to test one?" He grabbed a cookie and pretended to faint with happiness. "So good," he said, patting his stomach. Emma rolled her eyes but laughed too. That evening, Emma did not have a screen to stare at. So she sat in the living room with her parents. She asked them questions about their childhood. They told her funny stories. Her dad explained how he used to watch cartoons on Saturday mornings. He would wait for his favorite show to come on. Her mom described how she used to ride bikes with her neighbors until dusk. Emma listened with genuine curiosity. She shared a few of her own stories from school. She talked more than she usually did. They spent the rest of the evening chatting and joking. Emma realized she had not done that in a long time. Usually, she was texting her friends or watching videos while her parents watched TV or read. Now they were really talking. She saw her parents smile when she made a joke. She felt connected to them in a new way. That night, Emma climbed into bed without her phone. She stared at the leaf from the boy at the park. She remembered his words. "Keep this as a memory." She thought about everything she had done that day, playing soccer, walking outside, baking cookies, and having real conversations. She felt tired in a nice way, like she had truly lived that day. Her dad came to check on her. He stood by the door. "So," he said, "ready for another day without technology?" Emma sat up. Her eyes widened. "Let's not get carried away," she said. They both laughed. Emma reached for her phone out of habit. Then she stopped and rested her hand on the leaf instead. She remembered how happy she felt running around in the park. She remembered how proud she was when she helped with the cookies. She remembered sitting in the living room, truly listening to her parents. She realized that she did not feel so desperate anymore. Her phone was still off limits until morning, but she did not mind as much. She put the leaf on her nightstand and turned out the light. She told herself she would check her phone tomorrow. It would still be there. But for now, she was okay. She smiled to herself in the dark. In the morning, Emma finally opened the box and took out her phone. She expected to see lots of messages and notifications. She was sure she had missed something big. But when she checked, there were only a few unimportant texts. She noticed that none of them were very urgent. She had not really missed anything. She went to the kitchen, where her mom was making breakfast. Her mom raised an eyebrow. "So is the world still turning?" she asked. Emma nodded. "Yes," she said, "it is." Her dad walked in and gave Emma a playful poke on the shoulder. "How does it feel to have your phone back?" he asked. Emma shrugged. "It's nice," she said, "but I think I'm okay without it for a while." Her parents exchanged a surprised look. They seemed proud of her. Emma sat down at the table and actually looked at her mom. "Mom," she said, "these pancakes smell really good." Her mom smiled. Emma noticed her mom looked happier than usual. It felt good to give her mother some attention instead of ignoring her for a screen. She decided she would not let her phone control her day again. She tucked it into her pocket and headed outside. She wanted to see if her neighbors were around. She wanted to see if anyone was at the park for another game. Maybe she would bring Max and throw a ball for him. She might even try talking to Sophie without being awkward. Emma smiled as she closed the door behind her. The phone was no longer in control. It was just a tool. She felt lighter. She felt free. She was ready for another day of real life. After all, life was more fun when she lifted her eyes from the screen.